regulatory framework is a competitive advantage at a time when, margins are quite thin. Most firms are providing services which are very similar and commoditized. So whether you're calling a desk at Barclays, you're calling a desk at HSBC or Goldman Sachs, you tend to find that the pricing is pretty similar, service is pretty similar. So a firm that is able to understand the regulation, comply with the regulation at reasonable cost is going to have a competitive advantage. And clearly we're seeing that also today at Crown Agents Bank, where being able to comply with regulation and provide services in jurisdictions that other firms just can't because they don't have the right compliance setup gives us a significant competitive advantage. So I guess the message is, if you're a compliance officer, it's a good time to be out there, because good compliance officers make a big difference in terms of opportunities for firms. Business development is predicated on being able to mitigate the risks that your expansion would create. And what we're finding certainly is that as you expand rapidly, taking transaction monitoring as an example, your costs also start to expand. So imagine a firm that is making 200,000 payments a quarter and has a team of about 10 people looking at risk mitigation, looking at the alerts which are generated by activity. If it suddenly doubles that activity, do you double the number of headcount? What if you triple your activity? Do you triple the number of headcount? Certainly in our case, when we look at the volumes we're doing today compared to the volumes we were doing 2 years ago, we've more than quadrupled our volume. So we've been very successful. And I think a lot of the fintechs, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for growth. But as you grow, your costs risk growing. That's where AI and machine learning come in. Now, to your point, AI and machine learning does not replace the need for a good compliance officer. It's complementary, and that's what we're seeing. So we still have good compliance officers, we still have good risk management, but what we do with AI and machine learning is we take away a lot of the noise. So where you've identified a problem, you profile that problem and use the machine to detect that problem and count that problem so that the analysts have more time to dedicate to new problems as they come along. And just one final point on this, what we're also finding is that as you build out your network, you learn new things, because what you know day one, so your example of a supermarket looking at setting up shop in a new neighborhood, what tends to happen day one is you get a lot of data points. But as you start doing business, because of the customer turnout, and as you start putting things on the shelf, you start realizing that certain things are more successful than others, and you have to start adopting and adjusting your plan. And that's what we're finding as well, is that sometimes you go to a new country, you start making payments, and actually you realize that your products are being used differently from what you anticipated. So you need a dynamic approach to risk management as well.